That day, behind the red walls of the Alhambra, a sultan was unbuckling his sword. His hands were trembling. There were no tears in his eyes, but something deeper: shame, pain, and the weight of an entire sultanate. This is not just the story of a kingdom. This is the story of people who lived on this land for 700 years, who built here, who worshipped here, and then one day left everything behind and walked away. Spain, the year 1492. But this story doesn't begin in 1 year. It begins 7 centuries earlier, when Muslim armies first set foot on the Iberian Peninsula. Córdoba, Seville, Granada, these were not just cities. They were centers of knowledge. Libraries holding millions of books at a time when much of the rest of Europe couldn't even read or write. Hospitals, universities, magnificent mosques. Al-Andalus was a dream that had become reality. But dreams don't always last. Time passed. Muslim kingdoms fought amongst themselves. They quarreled with one another. And on the other side, the Christian kingdoms were slowly uniting. Ferdinand and Isabella, 2 names that were about to change history. Then something happened that no one expected. One by one, Muslim cities began to fall. Córdoba fell, Seville fell, and now only one place remained: Granada, the last fortress, the last hope. Inside Granada, people lived in fear. The marketplaces had gone silent. Mothers held their children close to their chests. In the eyes of the elders was a pain that only those who have watched their homes slip away can truly understand. Sultan Muhammad, known to the world as Boabdil, stood alone in the halls of the Alhambra. Advisors surrounded him, but everyone was silent, because everyone knew there was no way out left. "How much longer can we fight?" the soldier asked. The Sultan didn't answer, because there was no easy answer to give. Outside, the Christian army had surrounded Granada. Months passed. Food began to run out. Children cried from hunger. People stood on the walls and watched, the enemy's army stretching as far as the eye could see. This was not just a war. This was the last breath of a civilization. But this was only the beginning. Inside Granada, another war was raging, one fought within hearts. Some said, "Fight, fight to the last breath." Others said, "No more bloodshed, save the children." Sultan Muhammad stood before his mother, Aisha al-Hurra. She was a strong woman who had seen much in her life. "Will you surrender?" she asked, fire in her eyes. The Sultan lowered his head. "Mother, if I don't, this entire city will be destroyed. Death will come to every home." Silence fell. Then Aisha spoke the words that would be written into history forever. "You weep like a woman for what you could not defend like a man." This was not simply anger. This was a mother's grief, watching her son, her kingdom, her civilization lose everything. January 2nd, 1492. It was morning. A faint light in the sky, silence in the air. The gates of the Alhambra opened, and Sultan Muhammad walked out carrying the keys. Behind him, 700 years of Muslim Spain. Ahead of him, a new, unknown future. Step by step, he moved toward Ferdinand and Isabella. With every step, a pain rose in his heart that words could not capture. The keys slipped from his hands into the hands of the enemy. It is said that as Sultan Muhammad left Granada behind, he stopped on a hilltop. He turned to look back. The red walls of the Alhambra, glowing in the morning light. Tears filled his eyes. His mother is said to have spoken that famous line once more. "You weep like a woman for what you could not defend like a man." That place is still known today as El Último Suspiro del Moro, the Moor's last sigh. But from here, the real pain begins. Those who remained in Granada were given promises that their faith would be protected, that their mosques would be safe. But within just a few years, those promises were broken. Mosques began to be torn down. People were forced to abandon their faith. Those who refused had to leave this land forever. Just think about it. These were people whose ancestors had built homes on this land for 700 years, whose graves were here, whose every memory, every cherished moment was tied to this soil. One day, they were told, this is no longer your home. Sitting in boats, crossing the sea, people looked back at their homeland, knowing they would never return. An elderly woman, sitting in a boat with her granddaughter, says, remember where we came from. This land was ours. One day, by Allah's will, the light will return again. This is not just a story of defeat. This is a story of patience. This is the story of people who lost everything they had, but never lost their faith. Today, when we look at the beautiful walls of the Alhambra, when we see its intricate lattice patterns and Quranic calligraphy, we are not just looking at a building. We are looking at the mark of a civilization, a testimony of a time when knowledge, patience, and faith walked hand in hand. The lesson is this: a nation does not fall until division rises within it. Granada did not fall until Muslim kingdoms kept fighting each other, kept envying one another. Unity is the only strength that keeps nations alive. And this too is a lesson. Land may be lost, palaces may be lost, kingdoms may be lost, but as long as faith remains, nothing is ever truly finished. But the real story was only just beginning. Because the people who sat in those boats that day, their descendants spread to every corner of the world. And in their memories, one question always remained alive.
We must be brave.
Would that moment
for the
ever
journey
return?
ahead.
That answer
Our
in the next
future
part.
begins across this sea.